Hello and welcome, my name is Navarus and today I'd like to speak to you about the Magicka Nightblade build for the Murkmire DLC. There's a few things that have changed in comparison to last patch, so I'll go over them within the relevant sections. The first few things worth mentioning is that there's the inclusion of a new set, the Spell Strategist set, and also a couple of changes in terms of sustain for the Magicka Nightblade. So one of the unfortunate changes has been to the bow proc, which now costs in comparison to before, where you could use the bow proc and it wouldn't cost anything to the Magicka. So I've got 64 points into Magicka. I'm stage 4 vampire. I use the Thief Mundus stone and I either have the Clockwork citrus fillet or the Witchmothers potent brew. So in this video I'll go over the DPS Parses, gear setup, skill points, champion points, and then I'll finish it off with the rotation.
Sandstorm, I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip has pulled you into me. When I let you go, it just pulled you closer. It's a long departure.
Okay, so let's talk about the gear setup. So in the front bar I have the Spell Strategist Inferno Staff with a shock damage enchantment and an infused trait. This set's particularly useful because the 5th piece bonus can actually carry over both bars, so when you do a light attack it can last for 5 seconds, granting you almost 500 spell damage. On the back bar we have the Maelstrom's Inferno Staff with an infused trait and a flame damage enchantment. You can actually adjust this enchantment depending on which trial you're doing, so you could have a Magicka return glyph if you'd prefer to have a bit more sustain. Equally you could change the front bar staff to have Daedric glyph, that kind of thing, depending on the situation. So you want to run that staff with Blockade of Fire to get the full use of the set bonuses. And I'm also running 2 pieces of Zaans, so I'm running 1 heavy and 1 medium. This is to get the Undaunted bonus so that we get a lot more max resources. And we also have, on the other sets, we have Siroria's and Spell Strategist, because they're both light armor pieces. it's going to be a 5-1-1 setup. So I have 3 pieces of jewellery, each with spell damage enchantments on them, 2 with Bloodthirsty and 1 with Arcane. All the gear has Magicka enchantments on it as well. Okay, so let's go over the skills. So on the front bar I'm running Crippling Grasp. It's a very useful skill for several reasons. The first is that it does about 19k magic damage over 8 seconds. So it does an initial 2.9 and then a further 16k damage. It's relatively cheap considering that. Plus, because it's a siphoning ability, we get access to the passives. So we get more max magicka just having it slotted. We also gain from the soul siphoner, so we'll get more healing done. And then we finally gain more ultimate every time we use a skill. So the next skill that I have slotted is Merciless Resolve. It's a very useful skill as well because it gives us Minor Berserk, which increases our damage by 8% for 20 seconds. This isn't the only use for the skill, of course. There's also the Spectral Bow, which becomes activated after 5 light attacks. It costs roughly half the total cost, so it's about 1.2k magicka. But we also get the passives because we've got this on the skill bar, so we get more spell critical and we also get more critical damage, so it's quite a crucial skill to have. The next skill as well that we have is Elemental Weapon, introduced in the Summerset DLC or update, and it gives us more magic damage to our light attacks. The other benefit of this skill is that it has the chance to apply burning, concussion or chilled elemental status effects. Plus, because it's such a quarter ability, we get access to the passives, and the passives Spell Orb give us more damage. Concentrated Barrier gives us a 5k shield, very useful in some trials, and Deliberation, more necessary for the channeled acceleration, but it gives us some damage mitigation as well. So there's Impale, one of the best skills, best executes that I know of because it's very cheap. Of course you only use this under 25% health, so around 24% is the right time to use it, and at that point it does 300% more damage. And it's also an assassination ability, so again I believe one of the passives actually stacks up. Yeah, so when you have more skills slotted it does increase your critical damage. I have Inner Light here as well. The main purpose of Inner Light is to give us more maximum magicka. It gives us 5% as a skill, just having it slotted, and because it's a Mage's Guild ability we also get the Magicka Controller passive, so it's another 2% maximum magicka, so total 7%. The next skill is Fiery Rage. It's quite an expensive ultimate, but considering the amount of damage this does, it's very well worth it. There is other benefits to having this skill slotted. Because it's a Destruction Staff ability, we also benefit from the passives. So I'll just show you here the Ancient Knowledge passive. So the Ancient Knowledge passive gives us 8% more damage to single target abilities, and that's actually the majority of the skills on this bar. So on the back bar we've got Twisting Path. Unfortunately the other skill, Refreshing Path, no longer does damage, so it does have applications but it's less useful than it was. It does cost a bit more than most of the other skills, but it does also give us some damage resistance, which can come in quite useful, just shown here in Shadow Barrier, and we also get more maximum health as well having this slotted. So the next skill is Blockade of Fire. As I'd explained earlier on with the Maelstrom Arena Staff, it's much more useful, plus burning enemies will take 20% more damage. A very useful skill all in all, and it's also relatively cheap considering you use it 8 seconds only. You're also benefiting from the Ancient Knowledge passive having this slotted, and the next skill that we use is Elemental Drain as well. This is just to provide us some magicka return for tests, so in trials you'd replace that with Harness Magicka. Either Harness Magicka or the other morph, whichever you prefer. The next skill is Siphoning Attacks. It's crucial for the Magicka Nightblade sustain, mainly because at the end of the cast, the the duration of the skill, at the end of the 20 seconds you get 4k Magicka returned to you, plus it's a very cheap skill to use. The next skill is Channeled Acceleration. The main purpose is just to give us that minor force, so it's 36 seconds of increased damage, about 10% more critical damage just having that skill slotted. And because it's a Sigil ability, we benefit from the passives as well. So the next skill is Soul Harvest. A very useful skill. Having this slotted because it's an assassination ability, we get more critical damage. Plus it's a very cheap ultimate, so if the enemy has enough health we can use that at the end of the fight. Okay, so let's go over the champion points. So I have 61 points into Elfborn, 56 points into Elemental Expert, 21 points into Spell Erosion, 26 points into Staff Expert, 66 points into Master at Arms, and then finally 40 points into Thaumaturge. The rest of the CP may differ depending on what trial or content you're doing, so if you're curious about any other CP setups you can message me below or on any of the other media outlets that I've put up. Okay, so we're now on to the rotation section of the video. A few of you might notice that the rotation hasn't changed from last patch. That's because I found this rotation to still be very useful, and you can still get very good results from using the same rotation. The sustain change has had a big impact as well, so if you're having real sustain problems, if the damage isn't quite enough, you could weave in a Siphoning Attacks ability once the first one has ran out. Otherwise I'd encourage you to try and do the same as I've done. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you very much again for watching.